Maude is not just a sitcom, but a sharp, fearless voice of 1970s America. But this is an unexpected twist. After the laughter subsides, the true stories turn out to be far darker than anything written in the script. Fame didn't protect them. On the contrary, it changed them. So what really happened to these actors after the spotlight faded? Let's explore the lives you've never seen and the legacies they left behind. Bea Arthur as Maude Findlay. Bea Arthur was born on May 13, 1922, in Brooklyn, New York. At age 50, she played Maude Findlay, the outspoken, politically progressive protagonist in the series Maude, from 1972 to 1978. This role transformed her into a television icon almost overnight. However, the power she projected on screen masked a life filled with tension and loneliness. Growing up, Bea soon realized what it felt like to be so different. Significantly taller than her classmates by the age of 12, she became a target of ridicule, her height making her seem different even before she understood why. Her family offered little comfort. The emotional distance and instability created an atmosphere that forced her to learn to survive by honing her wit and sense of humor instead of seeking comfort. That defensive wit later shaped her performances, but it was honed over years of feeling watched, judged, and utterly alienated. Her personal relationships carried the same pressure. Her short-lived first marriage crumbled under pressure and financial instability, reinforcing fears that intimacy demanded a sacrifice of independence. Her second marriage to director Gene Saks lasted nearly 3 decades and produced 2 adopted sons, but success only exacerbated the rifts. As she starred in the hugely successful films All in the Family, Maude, and the Broadway musical Mame, the demanding work schedule, creative ego, and exhaustion eroded the emotional bond. Later, she admitted that marriage felt more like a constant negotiation than a partnership. While the public saw her confidence, Bea lived a secluded life, struggling with depression and deep introversion. She avoided Hollywood's social life, preferring solitude, routine, and control. Years of heavy smoking combined with relentless work had silently ravaged her health. Even as she achieved renewed success with the Golden Girls series and remained respected for stage roles such as Fiddler on the Roof, she still faced a decline in physical health. Sadly, Bea Arthur passed away on April 25, 2009, at the age of 86, in Los Angeles due to complications from lung cancer. She was cremated, and her ashes were scattered at sea. Her estimated net worth of $25 million reflects decades of groundbreaking dedication. She left a significant portion of her fortune to support homeless LGBTQ+ youth, transforming her personal suffering into lasting protection for others. Bill Macy as Walter Findlay. Bill Macy was born on May 18, 1922, in Revere, Massachusetts. At the age of 50, he played Walter Findlay, the gentle but constantly tense husband in the series Maude, from 1972 to 1978. The character's quiet resignation resonated deeply with audiences. For Macy, it also reflected a life shaped by restraint, patience, and survival skills rather than recognition. His early years were marked by economic anxieties. Growing up during the Great Depression, which altered the structure of the American family, security was never guaranteed, and responsibility came early. Long before acting provided her with a livelihood, Macy worked tirelessly, learning to endure without complaint. That ability to control her emotions became a defining characteristic both on and off stage, long before success came to her. His career progressed slowly, and with great difficulty. Years passed with menial jobs on stage, driving a taxi, and repeated rejections, making financial instability a constant reality. His early marriages also suffered, breaking down as ambition clashed with insecurity. Even when he achieved a breakthrough with the controversial play Oh, Calcutta, and later appeared in All in the Family and The Producers, stability remained fragile. Success never completely erased the memory of past struggles. When Maude finally brought him fame, Macy became widely known, but was typecast into a narrow image. Despite the show's resounding success, he remained confined to a certain type of role, overshadowed by stronger personalities and more resounding acclaim. Later roles in The Jerk and My Favorite Year brought him some renewed fame, but age and changing tastes in the film industry gradually diminished his opportunities. Sadly, Bill Macy passed away on October 17, 2019, at the age of 97 in Los Angeles from natural causes. He died peacefully, without any fanfare or scandal. His estimated net worth is $2 million, reflecting a lifetime of hard work rather than wealth accumulation. Rue McClanahan as Vivian Harmon. Rue McClanahan was born on February 21, 1934, in Hulton, Oklahoma. At age 38, she played Vivian Harmon, Maude's warm, free-spirited best friend in the Maude series, from 1972 to 1978. Her laughter on screen exuded a relaxed and light-hearted quality, but in real life, that warmth had to be cultivated through many hardships. Her early years were spent in rural poverty, in a family that was unstable rather than secure. Her father struggled with alcoholism, making daily life unpredictable, and fear became commonplace. Frequent moving left her with no sense of belonging, while school offered no solace. Her unusual name and appearance made her an easy target, reinforcing the belief that standing out would lead to suffering. Gradually, humor became her shield. Her love for Rue never brought her the stability she longed for. 6 marriages followed in a cycle of hope and disappointment, often marred by infidelity, emotional detachment, and imbalance. She later described marriage as a place where she constantly lost herself trying to please others. Even as her career flourished with films like Maude, Mama's Family, and ultimately Golden Girls, personal happiness remained fragile, constantly interrupted by emotional exhaustion. Health problems arose insidiously. Then suddenly, a breast cancer diagnosis in 1997 forced her to undergo a long and challenging recovery process, testing both her physical and mental resilience. Years later, cardiovascular complications required triple coronary artery bypass surgery, followed by a stroke that affected her speech and mobility. Nevertheless, she continued to work, appearing on Broadway in the musical Wicked, and completing projects despite her declining health. Sadly, Rue McClanahan passed away on June 3, 2010, at the age of 76, in New York, after suffering a brain hemorrhage as a complication from a stroke. No public funeral was held, reflecting the privacy she maintained throughout her life. Her estimated net worth is $5 million, earned through decades of television success and her autobiography, a stark contrast to a personal life defined not by wealth, but by resilience in the face of successive losses. Adrienne Barbeau as Carol Traynor. Adrienne Barbeau was born on June 11, 1945, in Sacramento, California. At age 27, she played Carol Traynor, the divorced and highly independent daughter of Maude Findlay, in the Maude series, from 1972 to 1978. Her character embodies a new generation of women seeking autonomy and emotional truth. That search reflects a personal life fraught with instability long before fame arrived. Her early years were shaped by emotional deprivation rather than overt chaos. Growing up in a broken family, constantly moving, and with a working mother, she lacked a sense of home and security. She learned to adapt quickly, suppress her needs, and project confidence even when security was fragile. This constant adjustment honed her resilience, but also created a deep-seated fear of abandonment, which would later manifest in her relationships as an adult. Her love life brought her more turmoil than peace. Her marriage to filmmaker John Carpenter coincided with her transition from television to film, with works such as The Fog and Escape from New York, but the marriage broke down due to creative imbalances and relentlessly busy schedules. They separated shortly after the birth of their son, leaving her to shoulder the responsibilities of motherhood and career alone. Her later marriage to Billy Van Zandt brought her companionship and children, but emotional distance and differing paths ultimately led to another painful divorce after decades of marriage. Physical health became another silent battle. Years after battling breast cancer, her body endured further strain as age and stress accumulated. The emotional burden of balancing her roles as mother, actress, and survivor weighed heavily on her, even as she continued to take on projects like the musical Carnival and voice acting roles that demanded stamina and adaptability. Today, 81-year-old Adrienne Barbeau continues to write, attend select events, and create in her own unique way. Her estimated net worth of $5 million accumulated over decades of work on Broadway, television, film, and publishing reflects not extravagance but perseverance. Brian Morrison as Philip Traynor. Brian Morrison was born on April 10, 1961, in Pasadena, California. At the age of 11, he played Philip Traynor, the observant but emotionally marginalized son in the series Maude, which ran from 1972 to 1977. On screen, Philip often stands quietly on the sidelines of adult conflicts, In real life, Brian faces pressures few children can handle. Fame came early, before he had achieved emotional stability. Long hours on film sets replaced childhood routines, while expectations of professionalism overshadowed the joys of play. Responsibility arrived early, not by choice but by circumstance, shaping a childhood more focused on duty than innocence. As she entered adolescence, opportunities narrowed rather than expanded. The transition from child roles to major roles proved difficult, and the film industry's attention gradually shifted to other roles. Small roles in films like Airport 1975 and later projects never really generated new momentum. This fading from public view carried a silent loss, as the identity built on acting lost its direction. Leaving acting brought relief but also unease. Life off the spotlight demanded a rebuilding of purpose without applause or recognition. The pressure to reach the top before adulthood lingered long after the cameras stopped rolling. By 2026, Brian Morrison, 65 years old, lives a relatively private life, far removed from Hollywood. His estimated net worth is $500,000, accumulated from his early acting career and later personal ventures, reflecting a career that ended quietly. He leaves behind a story not of extravagance, but of a child burdened with adult responsibilities too soon and choosing solitude to survive. Hermione Baddeley as Mrs. Nell Naugatuck. Hermione Baddeley was born on November 13, 1906, in Broseley, Shropshire, England. At the age of 68, she played Mrs. Nell Naugatuck, the shrewd English housekeeper in the Maude series, from 1974 to 1978. Her performance blends crude humor with unexpected tenderness, making the character unforgettable. Behind that strong exterior lies a life fraught with childhood loss and emotional instability. Her formative years were heavily impacted by grief and economic hardship. Her father's death plunged her mother into a relentless struggle, turning her childhood into a period of instability rather than protection. Surrounded by artistic ambition but lacking stability, she learned to survive through performance, exaggeration, and defiance. Humor became her protective shield, strong enough to overcome fear and deprivation. Marriage does not offer security. 2 marriages broke down due to infidelity, emotional instability, and incompatible lifestyles, leaving lasting scars. Relationships often repeat a vicious cycle of passion followed by betrayal, reinforcing the feeling that intimacy comes at the cost of one's own life. Even as her career flourished with works like Room at the Top and Mary Poppins, her private life remained chaotic and unresolved. Her health gradually but steadily declined. Chronic cardiovascular problems, coupled with recurring strokes, weakened her body while she continued working into old age. Fatigue and illness did not prevent her from performing, but they robbed her of her strength and independence. By the time she regained fame with her role in Maude, physical frailty had become an undeniable companion. Sadly, Hermione Baddeley died on August 19, 1986, at the age of 79 in Los Angeles after a series of strokes. Her remains have been returned to the United Kingdom for burial. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, her legacy is not about wealth, but about survival. Esther Rolle plays Florida Evans. Esther Rolle was born on November 8, 1920, in Pompano Beach, Florida. At the age of 52, she played Florida Evans, the principled, strong, yet discreet housekeeper in the Maude series, from 1972 to 1974. This role embodied dignity, restraint, and moral responsibility. Beneath that calm exterior lies a life shaped by physical exhaustion and mental sacrifice. Growing up in a poor farming family with 18 children, survival took precedence over childhood. Long days of labor, limited resources, and constant deprivation left little room for rest or dreams. The burdens of her childhood shaped her serious character, which was later evident in the solemnity that audiences perceived in her performances. Marriage offered no escape either. Her marriage to Oscar Robinson gradually crumbled under financial pressure and incompatible paths, ending in divorce after 20 years. The separation deepened her feelings of loneliness, especially since she had no biological children. Her work became both her refuge and her battleground, particularly as she fought for dignity and authenticity in her roles in Maude and later Good Times, frequently clashing with producers over how to portray Black family life. Her health quietly deteriorated alongside these professional struggles. Diabetes became a constant, exhausting companion, demanding discipline while draining energy. even as she achieved success with films like Good Times, Summer of My German Soldier, and later Driving Miss Daisy. Her physical health deteriorated, forcing her to work through pain while maintaining composure. Faith became her anchor when her body could no longer cooperate. Ultimately, Esther Roll died on November 17, 1998, at the age of 78 in California from complications of diabetes. She was buried at Westview Community Cemetery in her hometown of Pompano Beach, a historic black cemetery. Her estimated net worth was $3 million, reflecting a career built on integrity rather than compromise, leaving a legacy of quiet resistance and earned respect. Conrad Bain as Dr. Arthur Harmon. Conrad Bain was born on February 4, 1923, in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. At age 49, he played Dr. Arthur Harmon, a conservative doctor and Maude's ideological rival in the Maude series from 1972 to 1978. His calm and authoritative on-screen demeanor conveyed a sense of certainty and balance. In real life, his life reflected long periods of displacement, restraint, and silent sacrifice. His formative years were more strongly influenced by global instability than by domestic comfort. Growing up amidst World War II, frequent moves and a disconnect from normal life shattered any sense of connection to his roots. Military service instilled discipline in him, but also delayed personal aspirations, forcing him to mature before he was emotionally ready. Stability came late, and even then, it was built carefully, almost cautiously. Marriage brought continuity, but not ease. His marriage to Monica Sloan lasted decades and produced 3 children. But the long periods of stage work and travel put pressure on their family life. The pressures of Broadway, coupled with a demanding television schedule, created an emotional distance that was never fully bridged. Success came slowly through plays like Maude, Bananas, and later others. But the price was lost, time at home, and relationships maintained through absence rather than presence. As he aged, the pace of the film industry slowed, leading to fewer roles and longer periods of silence. He was still remembered fondly by the public, but maintaining his influence in the industry became increasingly difficult. His health deteriorated, and after the death of his wife in 2009, his isolation deepened. The silence that followed was far from peaceful. It was heavy with years of pent-up frustration and unspeakable weariness. Sadly, Conrad Bain passed away on January 14, 2013, at the age of 89 in Livermore, California, from natural causes. He was cremated quietly, without ceremony or fanfare. His estimated net worth of around $2 million, accumulated from his work in television series and stage performances, reflects a career based on stability rather than extravagance. He leaves behind the image of a man who calmly navigated history, family pressures, and old age, even as it gradually eroded his strength. J. Pat O'Malley, who played Bert, was born on March 15, 1904, in Burnley, England. At the age of 71, he appeared in the 1975 film Maude as Bert, bringing a warmth and weary humor shaped by decades of performing. His gentle exterior concealed a life that began in poverty and required immense perseverance before success arrived. Age has not diminished his story. On the contrary, it has only highlighted its weight. His childhood unfolded against the backdrop of economic hardship in industrial England, where stability was scarce and opportunities were limited. Singing became both an escape and a livelihood, taking him from humble beginnings to touring orchestras, and eventually, across the Atlantic. Immigration brought hope, but also loneliness, forcing him to rebuild his identity and security in a place far from home. A long career came at the cost of sleep deprivation. Decades of work on stage, film, and television. Lassie, films like Come Home, Mary Poppins, The Jungle Book, and countless other cameo appearances provided him with work, but he was rarely celebrated as a star. He became more of a trusted connoisseur than a celebrity, a familiar face with consistent but often overlooked contributions. His work sustained him, but never completely protected him from burnout. Marriage was one of the few solid pillars of his life, living with his wife, Faye, from 1936 until her death. Family became a refuge from the instability of his acting career. However, old age and declining health gradually narrowed his world, as heart disease weakened him while his acting roles dwindled. Sadly, J. Pat O'Malley passed away on February 27, 1985, at the age of 80 at his California home due to heart disease. His estimated net worth was $1 million, steadily accumulated through his voice work for Disney and decades of television work, reflecting a career defined by perseverance rather than extravagance, leaving behind the quiet legacy of a man who worked tirelessly, aged gracefully, and overcame adversity without ostentation. Marlene Warfield Trongvai Victoria Butterfield. Marlene Warfield was born on June 19, 1941, in Queens, New York. At age 36, she played Victoria Butterfield, a sharp, socially conscious young woman, in the film Maude from 1977 to 1978. Her appearance in the film was brief but memorable, distinguished by her intelligence and emotional intensity rather than warmth. That intensity reflects a life shaped by pressure long before she became known on television. Her personal life wasn't easy either. Marriage offered hope, then crumbled, ending in divorce while she was still building her career. Balancing motherhood with the unpredictability of acting added to the emotional pressure, especially when opportunities were infrequent. Even career breakthroughs like her role in The Great White Hope and her memorable performance in Network carried the burden of attention without the certainty it offered. Later, illness became the deciding factor. The cancer progressed silently, demanding a resilience already tested over decades. As her work slowed and her health deteriorated, she withdrew from public life, keeping her pain to herself rather than publicly. Her silence in her final years reflected a brilliant but unprotected career. Marlene Warfield died on April 6, 2025, at the age of 83 in Los Angeles from lung cancer. Her estimated net worth was $2 million, reflecting a career of outstanding performances rather than commercial extravagance, leaving a legacy of a woman who endured pressure, loss, and illness with extraordinary resilience until the end of her life.